Hello, I'm Jason Stephenson, and welcome to your Tiny Daily Kick podcast. And today, I really think that you're in for a little bit of a treat. You see, some of you might realize that over the last year or so, I've been writing my memoir, and I haven't finished it yet. But what I've decided to do is to, once a week, maybe more, is to add a little bit of my memoir in my own words and the lessons learned. And so it'll be a win-win. Not only will it be good for you, it'll be good for me as well. So today I'm going to take you back where it all began for me. Much of my creativity and who I am today all happened in my dad's garage. You see, my dad was a sign writer, so I grew up, there was lots of creativity in the household. He was also a drummer, mum was a pianist, splashes of creativity around in the garage. So that's where all dad's signage was stored, and that's where he created the signs. So it was always had the smell of turpentine, paints and splashes of colour everywhere. During the day, Dad was doing the sign writing. However, during the afternoons, every day after school, that became my retreat. I absolutely loved it down there and would spend literally hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours of my life in that garage. And what happened is he had milk crates there to balance the signs on. And so one of those milk crates would always be my stage. I would drag it out and I would grab his wooden sign-writing maul, which was something that he used to balance his hand on while he was creating the lettering of the signs. And I would use that as my microphone. And I would have this imaginary audience of thousands of people in my head. So already using the law of vibration, the law of attraction way back before I even knew what it was. Little did I know that was going to pay off for me in masses, and my voice would end up taking me around the world singing. It also is a part of me why I'm here now in this podcast, because I ended up having voice training lessons and singing lessons and acting lessons. So those moments brought me to where I am today. So I had this imaginary audience of thousands in my head. I dropped the needle on some old records. And in particular, I loved at the time Olivia Newton-John's song, I Honestly Love You, was around at that time. I was always drawn to these love ballads and not the songs the kids would normally listen to, right? I don't know why, but there were certain songs that would give me goosebumps, like I was leaving my body and I would become the song. I would stand there on the crate, put on the record, and begin to sing. Maybe I hang around here a little more than I should. Of course, it didn't sound like that. It sounded like more like, maybe I hang around here, in my little boy soprano voice. Regardless, I absolutely loved those times. And you know, the beautiful thing about all of that is my parents, they knew what was going on. They knew I would talk to myself. They knew I would pretend to bow. They knew I would sing. And they never interrupted me. And they left me with this beautiful, quiet support. And that's when silence can actually be very, very powerful. Now, they could have embarrassed me or shut me down, but they never did. I believed it so much that I remember inviting a friend over and I said, I'm doing a performance in front of thousands of people. You're invited to come over. And he said, where? And I said, at my house. I said, meet me at my garage and I'll get you in for free. So he come over and I opened up the garage door, shut it down, and I said, okay, take a seat. And he said, where's the people? Where's the people? I said, just sit there and enjoy. Don't worry about the people. Again, I put on the record and began to sing. And he sat there for the whole time enthralled. And at the end of the song, I remember he broke into applause. Yay, yay. And it was so wonderful for me because it was the first time I felt like I was seen and heard for the first time, even if it was only pretending. Looking back, I think there's a simple lesson here. Well, there's a few lessons. Don't wait for permission or applause, and I've mentioned this in my previous podcast. Start where you are. And dreams do not make sense, and they don't have to make sense at the beginning. Just go out and live them. And sometimes the greatest gift that we can give others, especially if you're a parent, is simply letting your child or letting yourself believe in your own dream. So to you out there today, if there's something calling you, even if it feels silly or invisible, let yourself step onto your own milk crate. So today's kick is this: you don't need the crowd to believe in your dream. Just you. By the way, a special shout out to my active followers, Paula, Verdonna, Jackie, Rebecca and Barb. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your monthly subscriptions. If you feel like you would like to subscribe, please do so. Even if you consider getting me a cup of coffee each month, I would be forever grateful. But again, I'm grateful just for being here and for you showing up wherever you are. I'm Jason Stephenson. Imagine boldly, then go out and live it.